ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Latin America Show. My name is Enrique Gelista, and it's a pleasure for me to be here tonight with all of you. And of course, sharing this fantastic country that we're going to talk about, Cuba. But first of all, I would like to invite you to share with everybody, here as you are watching us on Facebook, I think it's this side, click the share button in order that more people, they know exactly what are we doing. Maybe some of your friends, they are interested in Latin America, maybe they are interested in Cuba. So please share this video with all of them in order that they know more about Latin America. Also, if you know some Latin American people that, maybe they are interested to come to the show, please let us know, send us a message. And of course, all your commentaries and feedback is very welcome. And before we start with the show, I would like to ask you to follow us in all the different social media that we have. We have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, and we have Instagram. So it's very easy to find us. The only thing that you have to do is to type the Latin America Show. So it's very easy. Please share with your friends the video and share with everyone. And also, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, please put the bell that is there in order that you know when we're posting something new. All the previous programs, they are there also. If you know that people, they are interested to learn some of the keywords and also key phrases that Whitney is teaching us in the Spanish lessons, or some of the interesting people that they have been here in this show. So, remember, the show is every Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m. So, this is the Latin America Show. And before we start with the show, I would like to introduce my co-presenters, mis amigos, Roger Alarcon.
Hello. How are you, everyone? It's a pleasure to see you, everyone, again. So I'm very glad to see you all over again. And then we're gonna talk today a very interesting country, and I know everyone is just waiting to see our guest. So let's start the program.
Okay, thank you very much, my dear Roger. And on the other side of the world, in the United States, after a quarantine that she has to pass through, is Whitney Nuchereno. How are you, Whitney?
Hola a todos. I'm good, thanks. I thank you so much for watching, and we're gonna do something a little bit different tonight in the Making Spanish Simple segment. It's going to be almost all slang, so stay tuned because there's a lot of slang for how to get around Cuba, to eat, and then general expressions. So it's almost primarily slang, so it should hopefully benefit everyone.
Excellent, Whitney. Thank you very much. And as I said at the beginning, this show is prepared for all of you. So if you're interested in any particular country or any particular tradition, dish, etc., let us know. Give us your commentaries and please interact with us because, this program is made for all of you. And we would like to show you the best of Latin America. We are not thinking only to share with you the part of the Hollywood stories and that kind of thing. So, please send us your commentaries. I would like to thank to all the people that they are watching us now. Share the program, please. I would like to say thank you because I received a message through and say hello to Alejandra Martinez, that she's in Mexico and she's sending greetings. So thank you very much, Ale. And as I said at the beginning, we're going to talk about Cuba, but the proper pronunciation in Spanish is Cuba, and that is the flag. So some of the facts that I would like to talk about is Cuba is located in America. Remember that America, and I know that I'm very repetitive with this, America is a continent, it's not a country. United States is the country that you used to say America. However, from the Canada till Chile and Argentina, all the continent is America, and including the Caribbean. So, Cuba is located in the Caribbean, and it's an island. So as you can see, of course it has different, it doesn't have borders with any other countries. It has borders with the Gulf of Mexico in the west side. In the east side is the Atlantic Ocean, and in the south, the Caribbean Sea. So of course, you will have, if you travel there, the fantastic opportunity to go to different kind of beaches and enjoy the fantastic weather that they have. So let's go. So just some quick facts about Cuba. The official name is Republic of Cuba, and it has a population around 11 million people there, and it's split in 15 provinces. The official language is Spanish, and the capital is La Habana. Yes, La Habana is correct. It's not a typo. In Spanish, we used to say Habana, and as in a couple of lessons before with Whitney, she said that, when we have in Spanish at H at the beginning, we don't pronounce it. So that's the reason why we said Habana. So La Habana, or Havana in English, it's the capital of this country. So, there are three main cities as La Habana, Santiago de Cuba, and Camagüey. In La Habana, you will find some around 2.1 million people, and Cuba is the largest island in the Caribbean. So they have had, well, they have passed through different kind of situations, political situations, etc. But well, the first of all, it was the independence from Spain declaration. It was the 10th of October of 1868. And the latest one that they have this revolution, where they changed all the political system and everything, it was the 26th of July of 1953. So they are going to celebrate in a couple of weeks this revolution day that is important for them. Cuba is interesting because it's a country that has two different kind of currencies that you can use there. One is the Cuban peso and the other one is the convertible peso. The Cuban peso is more like the national and all the money that, or the currency that the nationals they are using to buy groceries and all the normal stuff. However, if you want to buy some of the important items or some products that they are imported, you have to buy it in convertible peso. Of course, they have a different exchange rate and everything. But well, it's like also if we're tourists, normally we will use the convertible peso. The area that is covering Cuba is around 109,884 square kilometers. That is something around 42,426 square miles. Just that you have an idea, this is the size more or less about in Europe, about between Bulgaria and Iceland. So more or less this is the size. And of course, well, you have heard about these products that they are very important for them. So while it's like Cuba is exporting a lot of tobacco, raw sugar, nickel, also in nickel is the 9th producer in the world of nickel, hard liquors and crustaceans. And well, sometimes when we are thinking about Cuba, and I have seen a lot of pictures of people that they are traveling there, and maybe the first thing that is coming to your mind is these vintage cars that they have. Well, Cuba, in order that if you want to have this kind of vintage cars, so well, it's only allowed that Cubans or people that they are foreigners, but they are residents of the country that can purchase them. Also, an interesting fact is that it's illegal to export them from the island. So while they have to be there, it's like a national heritage. And also it's interesting because Cuba during this recession, well, not recession, during this alcohol prohibition in the United States, a lot of bartenders, they moved to Cuba. And I think so that it's very well known that Cuba has a lot of, it's a very creative in cocktails. So maybe you have heard about mojitos and maybe you have heard about Cuba Libre. And also talking about Cuba Libre and everything, it's like maybe you have listened something regarding to this kind of particular drink that they have, that is a rum, and maybe the brand is very famous for you. And I will say it about Bacardi. Bacardi originally is from Cuba. However, it's like later on they move it to Puerto Rico and they are producing in different parts of the world. But also you can see in the label that, well, it's a rum that is coming originally from Cuba. So, well, also, if you are planning to go there, maybe you would like to enjoy having a good chat, a drink, and maybe you would like to play the national game. And Domino is the national game that they have. So Domino, you can spare the time with some of your friends, having a good time there. And also one of the things that you can do there is like maybe having a rum, playing some Domino there, and also tasting a fantastic cigar or Habano that we used to call them. And to talk about Habanos and talk about all these things, is like we have a fantastic guest tonight that, well, he has more than 20 years of experience in the Habano, in the Habanos and also in the cigars environment. Alberto Mendoza, he's a master of Habana cigars. And this is the highest certification that represents the most expensive and prestigious qualification within the UK Habanos market. So I'm very happy to have here somebody who can talk us about Habanos and the fantastic tradition that they have there in Cuba. So welcome, Alberto. How are you?
Thank you for having me tonight. Hello to everyone.
Hello. So
hello
Alberto,
to everyone. Welcome.
So Alberto, tell us a little bit more about, first of all, what is the tradition about the Habanos in Cuba? How important the Habanos are for Cubans?
Well, Cuban cigar are considered very unique because of the flavor and aroma. So in Cuba, there are 5 different tobacco regions to plant tobacco, and there is an area that we call Vuelta Abajo, that is in the western part of Cuban island, and that particular area is very unique. So you cannot find the same region. So you can see on the map in the left part, that is the western part, the part that is dark green. So that's one is exactly Vuelta Abajo. And in that particular area, the composition of the soil, the chemical composition of the soil is different, completely different, different to the rest of the island. And the organoleptics characteristic of the tobacco plant from that area is completely different to the rest of the Cuba, and also we can say the rest of the world, of those countries that produce cigars. So that made Cuba so why the Cuban cigar are very famous. So Cuban cigar has been in our culture, has been in music, in dance. So we can say that Cuban cigar. So the history of Cuban cigar go back in time when Cuba was discovered by Christopher Columbus. So from that time, the basis was set for Cuban tobacco to be present in the Cuban society throughout the history. So that's why even I will say that in the independence struggle against the Spanish metropolis, also the cigar was present. For Cuba, so Cuba at the moment, cigar represent one of the first income in Cuba. So after tourist system, so Cuban cigar is the second income in Cuba.
So just to understand a little bit more about cigars and everything, because well, maybe we have seen a lot of different cigars, a lot of different brands and everything, but I would like to know more about how is the process, how difficult it is, in order to know how long it takes to produce one, because of course you have to plant, to put the seeds, everything, to get the tobacco, and later on you have to dry it. It has to have a process. What is the normal process that it has to happen, and also how long it takes?
Well, to make one cigar, there are more than 540 steps from the seed to his trade, so commercialization. So there are more than 500 steps, 540 steps, and every process should be optimal. In order the leaf, when arrive to the factory, is in the optimal condition for the cigar roller to roll the cigars. They are first in the countryside. The curing process and the fermentation are very important for the leaf. So every process should be on time. The condition of the humidity and temperature are very important all the time in cigars. And what we are watching now is the main role. So the cigar roller. So the cigar roller has to roll the cigar in the proper way in order to assure that the draw of the cigar will be okay. Because draw is one of the most important things in cigar. Cigar could be light, it could be medium flavor or full flavor, but the most important thing is the draw. There is a video in our channel that you can see how all the process, all the details to make good cigars.
Okay, and for example, talking a little bit more about brands and everything, because and how can you choose the proper cigar? Or it depends about the taste. It depends if you are going to drink something in particular. How is this kind of? When do you know which one is the correct one that you need to choose?
Well, no, premium cigars. So Habanos, they are the people that can afford those cigars, the Habano cigars. They have high incomes. Because the cigar is really the premium cigar are expensive, and normally those people they they follow their brands, so they have their own brands to smoke. And at the time to choose the cigar, so it's very important. You have to check with your finger the cigar. So, but it's not so easy to explain in about 10 minutes or 15 minutes how to choose the cigars. But I would say that premium cigars are, so they are different at the moment. Habanos SA market 27 different brands, and Cohiba is the most famous Cuban cigar. But it doesn't mean that all the people like Cohiba, because they are different blend. So, and different blend give different flavor. So they are a little bit more aromatic, a little bit more spicy, or it could be a little bit more bitter. But normally Cuban cigars, they are sweet. So they are, the content of sweetness is a little bit higher. And that's why when you go for a drink, normally it should be a drink with a touch of sweetness in order to match with Cuban cigar. Nicaraguan cigar or Honduras, they have different flavor. But the Cuban cigar, the content of sugar or sweetness is a little bit high. Yeah.
There are like many questions, because well, I have met some friends and everything that they know how to do it, and sometimes it's interesting because well, it's like we have noticed that some people, they are like dipping the cigar in the drink that they are having. Is that the proper way that has to be smoke a cigar? So you can dip it in the, I don't know, it could be cognac, it could be whatever they are drinking.
No,
but it's like
no, Enrique, I consider that is a mistake. Why? Because the cigar is very hygroscopic. So the cigar is like a sponge, absorb the humidity very, very easy. And if you are wetting, if you are dipping the cigar into the glass with any drink, you are ruining the cigar. So you are providing too much humidity to the cigar, and then the draw will be difficult and also affect the aroma as well. So draw and aroma and flavor will be affected, especially the draw, because you are giving too much moisture to the cigar.
okay. And also another thing that I have seen is that some people, they took out the ring of the cigar, some people they leave it. So what is the proper way to smoke a cigar? Leaving the ring there or just taken out?
Well, that is your own decision as a smoker. There are people and they are proud of their own brands. So there are people and they want to see that people surrounding want to see him smoking or her smoking the Cohiba cigar or Montecristo or Trinidad. That is also very good cigar. And the other people and the other way around. So they want to be discreet, and they don't want that you watching him and watching them and they are smoking that particular brand. So it depends. It's nothing to do with your finger. So the cigar, the leaf doesn't spoil your finger. So,
and also I there is like another thing that sometimes happen, that is like I have noticed that sometimes the cigar is like you have to turn it on many times, or sometimes people, they leave it and they smoke it later. So is that the way that you can smoke a cigar? So it's like I'm smoking half, meanwhile I don't know, in a party, etc., and later on, after I don't know, maybe 1 hour or something, I turn it on again, the same cigar. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Or
I will say that it's not good thing, Enrique. It's a bad thing, because every time when you relight the cigar, the combustion will be affected. So the combustion will affect the aroma of the cigar. And of course, if you are in the party, you have to leave the cigar for a few minutes on the ashtray, and maybe you have to relight again. But the more you do that, the will be affected the aroma of the cigar, the flavor of the cigar, because the combustion affect every time when you relight, the combustion affect the cigar. And yeah, the cigar, the draw is one of the most important things. So the cigar should be smoked in one way. In one way, you can enjoy more.
Well, yeah, as you said, it's very difficult to get like a summary about cigars in 10 minutes. Yeah, because it's like, well, you have been in this environment, in this world for 20 years, becoming an expert. So I think it's not something easy. But how people they can find you, or how people that they are maybe interested to know more about cigars, more about this industry in general, how they can find you, or how they can find more information about it.
Well, there are different books. There are different books about cigars. There is a book that is the Habano Travel, the Habano Travel, and that book is very easy to understand and very practical from the countryside to the trade of the cigars. And yeah, I would like to show you. This one is one of the best. So the World of the Habano, sorry, is the name of this book is one of the best book. Very easy to understand, and they are people that they want to know about cigar, and if they have the chance to go to Cuba, you know, in Cuba every year there is a festival, Habano festival, that it takes place in February, the last week of February, and there are many activities. People can go to the plantation, people go to the factory, cigar factory, people go to cigar shops, Casa del Habano, las Casas del Habano, that are the highest category in cigar shop in the world. And here in London, there are 4. They are in UK, there are 4, 2 in London, and the other one in Chester and in Knockford. They are so there are 4 Casa del Habano. But even any cigar shop you can visit, and the people working there, the staff, they are very pleased to talk to you about the cigars and talk to the people about the cigars. And this book, the one that I show you, is a very good book to learn about cigars.
And Alberto, I have a question here from the audience that is saying that how do you become a master of Havana cigars? It's like how much training is involved with all this part?
Well, the company here, the Hunter and Franco, is the company that import the Cuban cigar. Is the exclusive distributor of the cigar, and they train people. So from Habanos SA has established since long time ago a training system for those people that they are working related with cigars. So, and the company here, the Hunter and Franco, they train the people working in bar, so working with cigar in bar, in restaurant, or in cigar shop. And there are 3 different level of courses. And there is another training that you have to, if you want to get to become a master in cigars. So if you want to become a master in Habanos, you have to pass the high certificate in Hunter and Franco, and that is really very hard. You have to memorize many questions. There are about 200 questions that you have to pass in. You have to do in about less than 2 hours, and then there is a practical test as well. And that is the highest, because that's why to get to become master in Habanos.
Okay, so well, it sounds really interesting, and also, well, it's like I think so that well, maybe we would like to have another session with you in order to know more about it, because I think so the topic is too wide, and of course we haven't spoken about many brands. Well, you just named some of them, but of course maybe that in another session we can talk about how to choose a cigar, or maybe some of the highlights, because well, as you said, it's very complex. It's not as easy as we believe. But of course, well, Alberto, thank you very much for having this time with us, for teaching us a little bit about cigars, and of course, especially about Habanos. And of course, well, it's like now we have another guest that, well, I think so Roger Alarcon is on your side. Thank you, Alberto. Of course, you can stay here with us.
Sorry,
Yeah?
10 minutes not enough to explain everything about cigar, but people can follow in cigar and YouTube in Cigar Ritual. There are some videos that my wife and me we have made in order to explain to people everything about cigars in YouTube. The name of the channel is Cigar Ritual.
Okay, so we are going to put it in our commentaries in order that, well, people that they are interested, they can just go there and click it, and of course, well, see more and to learn more about cigars in general. So thank you very much, Alberto. You can stay here.
Thank you.
And now let's go with Royal Alarcon on the other side.
Well, now we're gonna have a very special guest. It's Francesca Cain. She's British, but she dedicated a whole life to the dance, and now she's doing the Cuban dance. That is her specialty, and he teaches here in UK this amazing dance. So please give it a welcome to Francesca Cain.
Yeah, hold on a sec, Roger, because, well, it's like you put me the video and I didn't have the opportunity to give the influence to Francesca. So it's like you blocked completely my computer, so I didn't have a chance to join her. But I think so now she is here with us. Yeah, over to you, Roger and Francesca.
Hi.
Francesca, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Well, I know you're British, you love the dance, the Cuban dance, but tell us a little bit about you, Francesca. Who are you and how you start, how these began with you, with the dances?
How this Latin love affair with dance began. Yeah, well, my background, I come from a family of performers. So my mum was a dancer, she had a dance school for many years. My brother's a performer, so I grew up with dance, but not specifically Latin dance. My story in dance started when I was around 3, and it was more in the core discipline, so ballet, tap, modern jazz. And then I studied languages, and then I went away to live in Latin America, and I got hooked on the Latin American thing, and I reverted back to dance through living in Latin America, and that just spiked a passion that is still here now. I went and trained in musical theatre because I thought, oh, I need to do something that's sort of more academic than just salsa, etc. So I trained in musical theatre at the American Musical Theatre Academy and Mount View Academy of Theatre Arts. I got my qualifications, and then literally the week after that I finished that program, I was like, I'm going to go and do a Latin festival because that's where my real passion lies. And everything that I kind of studied was as being useful. I'm not saying that it's not useful, because for any dance genre that you go into, it's important to have some kind of technique. But the whole musical theatre thing for me was done. As soon as I'd go out the door, I was like, right, okay, here I come. Any Latin dance you want to offer me, I'm there. So I went to the first Latin Congress that there was. And from then it's not stopped. Going into salsa opened so many doors. Salsa isn't just 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. People don't realize there's so many genres of salsa that exist. And my heart fell in love with Cuban, and then that's brought me here.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I can imagine you have all the instruction from the very basics, from the most important dances, like you mentioned it before, jazz, ballet. But then, for example, did you live in any of these countries? Did you have any good teachers? Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, I did. I lived when I was 18, I went to Chile and lived there for a year. I worked there as a volunteer for a religious project that was helping underprivileged children in Santiago. And then I came back, I started my degree in languages, and then I had to go and do some time abroad. So I went to Ecuador and I worked with an indigenous tribe for around about a month in the Amazon. The tribe is called Waurani. They're right in the thick of the Amazon. And that showed me another perspective to Latin America. Obviously, the indigenous population is very far from what we know, in the cities of Santiago or Lima or Bogota. There's so much variation that exists in Latin America. It's impossible, as we found earlier when you were speaking to ay, se me olvidó su nombre.
Alberto?
Yes, that is, it's difficult to talk about so many things in such a short time. But that was Ecuador, and then I moved to French Guiana when I finished my degree, which isn't a Latin, it's on the continent of South America, but they speak French. So that showed me another side of Latin America. And then my kind of passion for Cuban salsa has led me to Cuba more than the other countries, and that's where we are now.
And I'm very, very interesting, and because obviously you being British, and obviously this program being English, and for this type of audience, you as a British, how you embrace the Latin American, how was your transition? How was you? What was the detonation? Just so you say, yes, I want to learn more about Latin America.
If I'm honest with you, it was very easy to slip into Latin American culture, because Latinos have this this welcoming way that we as Europeans have somehow lost somewhere along the line. We've lost we've lost this way of opening our arms and saying, it's okay, you can come, we can be friends. It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim. There's that accepting culture amongst Latin people. And that for me was something that really touched me. And when I had to leave, I found it very difficult to come home. I remember the first year of university, there was a real culture shock for me, thinking back to the year that I'd lived and being with people of all different levels of society, and every one of them was able to just accept me, whether I was foreign or whether I was Chilean, and I think it's that has stayed with me about Latin Americans. And it's the same in Cuba. Cuban people, they're a vibrant, energetic personality. Their love of life is infinite. They can make something out of nothing because of the things that they've gone through. And on the surface, I think that sometimes it can appear that, Cubans are hard to tap into, but if you speak the language and if you have a conversation with them, they're very open, they're very joyful people, and their life is based around music, most of them. Music is something that keeps them ticking. And that's what sold Cuba to me, I think.
I have a question, Roger.
That's amazing.
If you let me ask Francesca, it's like there were some kind of, before you go to Latin America, you used to have some stereotypes or something that you were thinking that you will find in Latin America, and later on you said, well, that is not true.
It's difficult for me to say, because I remember being one of those strange people at high school that used to come home and listen to Shakira while everyone else was listening to, I don't know, who was it, Eminem back in the 90s, So for me, I'd never really had any preconceptions about Latin Americans and what they should be or what they shouldn't be. All I knew was that I really loved that music and the personalities that managed to get out of Latin America and put themselves on the European market. They were like kings and queens for me, because I just loved everything about what they were offering. The dance, the music, the fun, the culture, because if we're going to talk Cuban dance, we can't separate the two things. Cuban dance culture is part of Cuban culture. It all interlinks so clearly. And when you start dancing salsa, all you hear is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, but you get to a point where that becomes boring, and then you have to go under the surface. And under the surface, there's so much more to discover. For example, the history of the dance, where does it come from? When we start to mention genres like son cubano, which existed before salsa, and before that changui, and then there's other areas of that exist in the Oriente, like Ñengon and Kiriba, which are rarely talked about. Rumba, Afro-Cuban dance, rumba, which is separated into 3 different genres, Yambu, Guaguancó, and Colombia. All of these things are existent in the salsa that we're dancing, Cuban salsa, we're dancing today. And very few people up until now have been aware of this. And that's exciting. My purpose last year when I did, I think you saw some footage of it, the UK Salsa Festival. I was the only one that went and represented Cuban salsa amongst the people that were there. There was all different other types of salsa predominantly Cali, which is beautiful, but Cuban was not there, and that made me think, wow, there's this treasure trove of things that we can find out about Cuban dance that all are in salsa that we're dancing today, and hardly anyone knows about them. And I just thought to myself, okay, that's my mission. Next year, I'm gonna really focus on all of these things that exist that we can share, the rhythms, the styles, mambo, Mozambique, pilon, all of these popular dances that we can use in salsa. I want to put them on the table and let people enjoy them. And that's what I'm doing. It's exciting.
Wow, Francesca, you talking about like you study all your bases, because as you said before, many people doesn't know exactly all the divisions. And in that particular topic, obviously now this year you've been teaching, because obviously it's all about people teaching. The first question though there is how you find the British people embracing that teachings, if it's popular. And the second question on the same topic is obviously how you feel about it, like you representing Cuba.
Well, the only thing that I can say is positive. Everyone's receiving of the material that I have to offer has been exceptional, and that's really encouraging. Also, I know that people are taking a chance on me because I'm not Cuban. I work very closely with a lot of the Cubans that are in London. There's other Cubans that I'll mention now, but we'll talk about later because I'm sure they'd love to come on the show as well. Luanda Pau, she's here. She's representing Afro-Cuban dance in its origins. She danced in the Conjunto Folclórico Nacional de Cuba, and she drives that market of Afro-Cuban dance. What I do is I've learned the things that she covers from the basics, from the core, and then what I try to do is fuse it with salsa to make it something slightly different. I suppose, a fusion, a modern interpretation of those things on salsa music. Thanks to timba, which is a style of music that comes out of salsa, we can put Afro-Cuban dance and the secular Cuban dance, rumba, for example, and we can put religious dances sparingly onto Cuban salsa as well, which includes the orishas, which is that mix of religious, two religions, Catholicism and Yoruba from Nigeria, that linked together during the slave trade when the slaves came over. Spaniard and African linked again, and then we've got this mix of all of these amazing things that make the dance much more exciting. I mean, orishas is something very specific because of it looking at this religious dance, but it's beautiful to watch in its original form, and it's amazing to know what it is and use it on salsa as well. So I've been promoting that recently in a course that I've got running at the moment called Salsa Goddess, which is looking at the three goddesses of the Yoruba religion or Santeria, so Oshun, Yemaya, and Oya. And we look at how we can use the catalogue of movements that these orishas have and put them onto salsa, especially when you hear a track where these orishas are mentioned, because unbeknown to a lot of people in Cuban music, the orishas, modern Cuban music, the orishas are mentioned as well. So we can use that. So that's one of the things that's gone down really well this year. I've had courses that have mixed Cuban salsa with rumba, which is as I mentioned earlier, it's a secular dance, specifically guaguancó, which has got its own history. It's a dance that was used primarily for socializing. It dates back to kind of I think late 19th century, and it's the objective is that the man will try to vacunao, inject the woman in the pelvis area, okay, using either the hand, the foot, or the pelvis itself, okay. Now, it's a really fun dance to dance because obviously it's the interaction with the man and the woman has to try and cover herself all the time. If you look it up on YouTube, there's infinite videos of this style, and I've mixed that with salsa as well because a lot of people can use that in their social dance. Son, as I mentioned earlier, comes from the Oriente. This is they're all 4/4 rhythms, so we can put them on salsa. And we can mix them together. And one that I looked at kind of the beginning of lockdown, which was really successful, un poquito de todo, which was mixing salsa, son, and mambo, because mambo is another popular dance that comes from Cuba, 4/4 timing as well. But the exciting thing is that all these different styles can be used, and we can have fun dancing all of them on the salsa music that we listen to today.
That sounds amazing.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And being from you, as I said to you, I would love to remark, it's remarkable you as a British, you've been studying all these deeply, and you have all the roots. And then I think that's the most essential and the most respectful for Latin America, especially for the Cubans. And also you can transmit that what you learn and what you live over there is something amazing. Where we can find you on which are your social media? Tell us.
So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me with my normal name, Francesca Cain, or you can find my specific dance page, which is Francesca a lo cubano, typically. So that's Francesca, Francesca, another A, lo, L-O, and then Cubano, Cubano, which means Francesca the Cuban way, because that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to use the knowledge that I have to teach other people, at the same time promote Cuban dance culture, and when the opportunities come up, perform as well and compete. Because for me, my main objective is to teach people well and to put Cuban dance right at the forefront of people's minds, which is where it belongs.
Wow, this is amazing. Anyone wants a question in this topic?
Well, I think so. There are like dozens of questions to do, but well, I think so that well, maybe we will ask that well, maybe in a future show, you can teach us a little bit how to move and everything. I think so it could be quite interesting, Francesca. If you can give us like the basics, yeah.
But
and
you
also,
know
well,
you know what I love? You know what I love of Francesca is that deep knowledge she's got. So she knows what she's doing, and all the readings are amazing.
Yeah, and also, well, you know what? I have some, some people that they are sending some greetings here. It's like, for example, Lily Martinez, she's saying, it's amazing the knowledge of Francesca. Congratulations. Pamela Rawlings is, she's saying yes about like, let's dance something. Mario Rojas is and take a student. First of all, is like saying that Mario Rojas is saying, let's take classes. Yeah. And also Mario, it's telling to you, Whitney. He said, Mario Rojas is saying, Whitney, let's take classes. So, well, Mario Rojas is inviting Whitney to learn how to dance. And also later on saying, well, also I have and take some students to the lessons. Pamela Rawlings is saying, Francesca, I love the passion you have for your art. From when can I have a lesson? Interesting.
I forgot to say, actually, I've got a new course starting next Monday that's called Latin Ladies. It's all for women. There's, sorry guys, there's no men invited, but it's looking at another aspect that I feel really strongly about, which is promoting women being women. And I think that for us as European women, sometimes we're so involved in our work, we're so, on the go, rushing, we forget how to feel like women, feel that sensuality, that looseness that Latin women have very naturally. And I think that we can all do with a little bit of that in our lives. So if you're up for it, join me, ladies. Next Monday, you can find the information on my page.
Oh, that's perfect. Also, well, Belinda Dolan said, wow, amazing, Francesca. Such good points you have mentioned of the Latin American culture and Cuba. Cari Ruiz is saying Francesca is the best teacher. Look her up, people. And yeah, of course, well, and Kate is saying Francesca classes are great. So, well, it's like we have a lot of commentaries. Also, Evelyn Franks, thank you very much for your commentaries. Mandy Jones, Francesca Cain, well, is a fantastic teacher. Joanna also is saying, oh, Francesca. And well, we have a lot of people say Evelyn Franks, Annabelle is saying hello, Pamela Rollins is saying good evening, Enrique and Roger, Grudun, greetings from Germany, Alejandra Martinez, greetings from Mexico, Gary Dancy is saying hi to everyone, Avijit, Kapatia also is saying hello to all the team, and well, thank you very much for everyone for your commentaries, of course, giving us let us know more commentaries about you. Maybe sometimes we don't have the time to read them all here, all of them here in the show. But thank you very much, Francesca. Of course, well, we are like just a little bit short in time, but well, it's like, thank you, Francesca. Of course, you can stay here because, well, now we have our Spanish, and you can criticize our Spanish teacher that we have. And she is Whitney Nuchereno. Please, Whitney, how are you doing?
Not allowed to criticize. Okay. So like I said in the intro, this class is going to be a little different than all of our other classes because we're focusing on slang. And the theme is mostly means of transportation, but we are going to talk a little bit about cigars in honor of Alberto. So let's begin. Okay. So there are a bunch of expressions that are different that you might hear in Cuba that, like I said, are different in some Latin American countries. One of them is ir boteando, and that's like traveling around via taxi. So like Enrique mentioned, a lot of those classic cars, they're classic for a reason. You can't export them. You have to be a resident to purchase one of them. There are all these rules. And that's partially what makes them so exceptional and so special. And some of them can serve as a taxi. So if you're in Havana and you want to get around, any of these words will do. Un almendrón, okay? Another one is un botero, which also can mean the driver of the taxi, and un rutero. I'll repeat that again, so you can maybe repeat after me at home. Un almendrón, un botero, un rutero. Another word that has been used for cars, una máquina, but in a lot of other Spanish-speaking countries, we know that word as a machine. And then if you share a car with others, then it's un colectivo. Okay. Next up, we have, this is a very special word. I was reading this one book, and I'll introduce it in a few minutes. And the person kept saying, wawa, for bus. I'm thinking, what? Because in a lot of countries, you would say, outside of the Caribbean, you would say el bus or el autobus, but in Cuba, you're going to hear la guagua. Sometimes the G can be subtle. Sometimes you can hear, I've heard it both ways. So that's a special one. Instead of el bus or el autobus, which you would use in a lot of other Spanish-speaking countries, it's la guagua. You also have el chivo. And that looks similar to a word, to the verb like chivar, to snitch, but in this case, it means bike. Also known as in most countries, bicicleta or la bici. And I know Francesca mentioned Shakira. And funny enough, if you know bicicleta, other than the fact that it's a cognate as a non-native speaker, you might recognize it as one of the famous songs of Shakira and Carlos Vives. But that's Colombia, and we'll talk about that next week. So back to Cuba. We have, okay, so whoops, sorry about that. Okay, so to hitch a ride, you could use the expression coger botella, which in other countries you could say pedir un aventón or hacer dedo, because dedo is finger when you lift up to hitch. I've never hitchhiked, but apparently that's what you do. So coger botella. And this might be a good time to mention the Cuban accent. Similar to what we talked about last week in the DR, the Dominican Republic, the Cuban accent can be very difficult to understand at times, not just for Spanish learners, but for native Spanish speakers that aren't from maybe like countries in the Caribbean. Like the Dominican Republic, the S at the end of a syllable is often aspirated and thus occasionally omitted. Also, the R can become an L at the end of a syllable or end of a word. And so this expression you might hear with an L, like coger botella, and that's common. Also, if you want to go for a walk, we always say dar un paseo. That's pretty standard. And if you're in Havana, there's no better place to walk than El Malecón, which is Spanish for boardwalk and is one of the most famous spots in the capital. Some even call it el sofá or diván más grande del mundo, due to its views and length of around 8 kilometers. And if you ever see a Cuban movie that's set in the capital, you will no doubtly see El Malecón. It's an iconic spot. Therefore, if you go to Havana, make sure it's one of the first places that you visit. Okay. All right, so another word that's special to Cuba is paladar, and it's a form of a restaurant. And last week, when we learned about the DR and food, we talked about how restaurant means el restaurante. And while los restaurantes exist in Cuba, so do paladares. In the 90s, around 93, restaurants were owned by the government, so paladares surfaced to avoid this. And while that is not necessarily the case today, some paladares do exist and offer multiple different types of food, not just Cuban food. And then last week, we mentioned how people might ask you if you don't have a booking, if you're going into para tomar o comer. You also might hear the verb jamar. Remember, the J makes more of like an H sound in Spanish for us Anglophones. And that is a way of saying to eat, jamar, comer, la jama, food. And un jaba, they might ask you if you want to, I don't know, like take your food, leftovers home. They might ask if you want un jaba, which is a bag for that. Normally we would say bolsa or something else. Okay, so since we talked about cigars, there are various terms for cigars. One of them is cigarros. You also have el tabaco. So you can repeat after me, cigarros, el tabaco, los puros, which we mentioned, and of course, los habanos, the ones made in Havana. A shop, you have a lot of options. Here are two of them. Una tienda de, so if you want to say, ¿Dónde está una tienda de puros? So los habanos. It's either una tienda de, un estanco de. And those are two examples. So una tienda de, because it generally means a shop or store, and un estanco de. Okay. And then finally, okay, heard on the street. These are there's so much slang. I have pages and pages of the slang. It's really great. And I'm not obviously going to give you all of it since we only have a few minutes left. But here are a few words that I just had to share right away. One of them is hacer, and that's a form of saying hi to friends, people you know. So unless you know people in Cuba and you're going to visit them, you'll most likely hear it more than you'll say it, especially tied to the expression hacer que bola. And that means like, hey, what's up, between friends. And then the next word, this was a risk, because there's a word that's very similar, but this word el pincho is fine in Cuba. It can mean work or a job. So the verb to work is pinchar. I know a few weeks ago when we talked about Ecuador, we talked about yo creo que la chamba for work. So this is just to show you another word that you can use instead of el trabajo, like we say, or trabajar, which is another way, generic way of saying to work, el trabajo or trabajar. And then we talked about jamar, being to eat, and la jama for food. Very important, because if you visit, you're definitely going to want those words. And then this is a random one, but I loved it. I read it in this book, Memorias del Subdesarrollo. Oh, it's coming in and out. Subdesarrollo, which I recommend if you're a native or you're learning Spanish and can read literature. It's really, really great. And all these expressions came from there. And this one, the last one, en boca cerrada no entran moscas. So it's literally saying in a closed mouth, flies don't enter, but it pretty much means don't say anything. It's to keep a secret. If you keep your mouth closed, you're not gonna reveal the secret. So that's it, because I know we're running out of time, but if you wanna learn more, I just uploaded a lot of information on my website, makingspanishsimple.com, where you have access to my YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook information. If you wanna learn more, not just about Cuba, but about anything, any of the Latin American and Spain countries and culture. And that's...
Whitney, can you repeat the name of the book? Because, well, we have here Mario that is asking, I missed the name of the book. Which is the name of the book?
I will put it, I'll go on the show and put it in the comments, but it's Memorias del Subdesarrollo. It's by Edmundo Desnoes, and it's during, I was actually reading it for a class I'm about to teach, an independent study on political fiction through literature. And this came up on so many websites as a must read. And I read it in like a day. It was really, really good. It's an easy read if you're learning and you're starting to read literature and you can handle short stories. This is a really good next step. And the film, apparently, I'm about to order it, is one of the best in Cuban cinematography. So I'm really looking forward to that, and we'll recommend that again.
Excellent. And I was just watching Alberto and Francesca here that I have them, that they were laughing about the different kind of slang and also the different kind of words. And I think so that for Alberto and Francesca, they came a lot of things to their minds, like, yes, that is difficult that we use that one, you know?
There are so many more. There's so much great slang. I have, like I said, at least 5 or 6 pages of it. So I'm sure that there are expressions that you probably would want to add, but I can't give all the good expressions in one episode.
Yeah, no, but also I think that it's really good to understand. But you know what? That latest phrase that you use is sometimes also that in boca cerrada no entran moscas is more like, sometimes we use it at, I don't know, in Mexico we use it like, it's better to be quiet and don't talk, because if not, you can get in trouble. So it's more like, you know what, just shut up, because if not, maybe it's gonna be something bigger, or it's gonna, people start gossiping and everything. So just, in bad situations, just shut up, and that's it. You know?
And I think it can mean that too. I think it's based on context, because in the book, I got that impression in some parts. And then I was reading later and doing some research on Cuban slang. And so I saw both sides of it. So I think also context is obviously very important.
Thank you very much,
Wow.
Whitney. It was like fantastic. Also, while the pronunciation is really interesting, that well, it's like, it's amazing. What do you think, Alberto? Can we pass
exactly.
Whitney as a Spanish teacher that, well, like she's pronouncing properly the words?
I'm really very impressed. You know, first, Francesca talking about music. That's really, she knows a lot about all the different rhythm. And now Whitney talking about the slang. That's really funny. It's she mentioned the most common. There are many others, as she said, but they are. She mentioned the most common. And
okay,
the most funny for me is qué hora hacer, qué hora hacer. It's the most funny, because we used to say that every time when we say hello to the people. Yeah.
Okay, so well, it's interesting that, well, we are learning something different in this show. So, well, it's interesting there. It's like next time, Alberto, is the first phrase that you have to use when we will start the conversation.
And you, Francesca, which is your word? Which is the word you use in the Cuban word you like?
If the phrase that always makes me laugh is an exclamation, which is muchacho or muchacha. When you tell someone something and they can't believe it, they use that on the end of it or to finish it off. That, and there's one that comes from, well, I think it's a little bit ruder in Spain, but coño. It's
yep, it's definitely. I've been to Spain a ton. It's
when
definitely.
We want to refer, when we want to refer to a girl, to a lady, we say jeva.
Yes, that's on my list.
So we say la jeva.
I know. Yes, and it could be el jevo as well, but I think la jeva is a little bit.
Yeah, you can say also, but it's more common jeva. So we say.
Yeah, that's on my list.
And in Chile, the word for jeva or novia is polola or pololo.
Oh, okay.
So another difference again.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, well, it's like Spanish, it could be very complex sometimes in that way. So it's like, basically, I think so that, well, Spanish speakers, we can understand the different things and what you're referring to, more or less. Sometimes it takes us a little bit of time, like, for example, yeah, la jeva and that kind of thing. So maybe it's going to be like, huh? What are you talking about? But with the time, and depends the context, we can understand. But I think it's quite difficult to understand Spanish and all the slang that we have in different regions.
Hold on a second. So imagine, tell a girl, let's go in a bus to eat something. So imagine how you say it, Alberto.
Can you repeat again, please?
How you say, hey girl, let's take a bus and let's go to eat, and all these words. Hey, Java, vamos a agarrar la guagua.
Vamos a coger la guagua para jamar algo.
Para jamar, exacto.
Para jamar.
Muy bien. Has aprendido algo.
Y después vamos para el Gao. El Gao es home, house. Gao.
Yes, I have that. Mhm.
Gao.
Oh,
There's so much slang, and it's been really fun and confusing at times. I saw Wawa, and it's interesting. Like, I've been to the DR where they say that, but I guess I think because I went with the tour group, I never needed the word. So when I first read the novel, I'm like, what is that? And I read a lot, so it was definitely interesting. I mean, what I'm trying to say is you just always have something to learn, and you keep learning, and it makes it fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Whitney. And thank you very much, Alberto and Francesca. Yeah, we are running out of time, of course. Yeah, it's like we have extended a lot because, well, there's a lot of things to do. And it has been a pleasure, Alberto and Francesca. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
I hope to see you soon again in this show when we're talking more about Cuba. And of course, we're looking forward to try the cigars and also to learn a little bit of steps of dancing. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. And well, it's like, I know that we are running, well, actually, it's like we are 9 and 5. So, well, it's like we just have some information to give you. One of our supporters, that is Mestizo. So Mestizo, they have done different things. And we know that, well, there are things that they are changing. Normality is coming in a tricky way, in a different way. But of course, they are doing different things in order that, well, Mestizo is a restaurant that is a Mexican food restaurant. It's really good. I recommend you as a Mexican, I can recommend you highly that restaurant. I don't know if we had the video, Roger, because, well, they are like inviting you to go now that, well, the lockdown is like almost over. They are like changing some of the rules, but they are keeping a lot of things that they are interesting in order to keep the distance and also, well, to provide the same service. Roger, do we have the video?
Yep.
Mestizo welcomes you back to its little slice of Mexico in London, and we are so excited to have you. After all that has, and is still happening, we are working on ways to press forward into a new normal. So please remember, things may be a bit different on your next visit. We will be following the safety guidelines, as well as enforcing the measures set out by the government to maintain a virus-free environment and help fight the virus. These will include our staff being constantly monitored for symptoms of COVID-19 before the start of each shift going forward. We will also be sanitizing our hands on entry and subsequently throughout the service to ensure no contamination remains prominent, asking politely that you do the same. We ask that you remain vigilant, whilst of course enjoying yourself for your own safety and the safety of others. We'll be enforcing social distancing measures whenever and wherever possible, maintaining at least 1 meter apart from table to table. We request that you stay mindful of this throughout your visit and try to keep your distance whilst you are in the restaurant in order to mitigate risk and make this possible. We have also put measures in place to reduce cross-contamination wherever possible, with tables and other surfaces, toilets and doors, card machines, and all items that may come in contact with you being constantly disinfected. Here at Mestizo, you can come disguised as a luchador, but of course without all the wrestling. We kindly ask all of our customers to wear a face mask when coming into the premises and moving around the restaurant. Of course, it can be removed when enjoying our delicious food and drinks at your table. We understand that we are heading into a new normal, but we can all do this together. Welcome back to Mexico and London. Welcome back to Mestizo.
Well, so we would like to invite you to this fantastic Mexican restaurant. And of course, well, it's this kind of new normal life that we have to face now with all these changes. But well, we are like about to finish the program. So, Whitney.
Thank you so much. If there's any material that you would like covered in the following weeks, please let me know. I'll try and make it as pertinent to traveling and visiting different places with some slang included. So just let one of us know, and I'll tailor the lessons. But thank you so much. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait to talk about Cuba again.
Thank you very much, Whitney. Thank you very much, Alberto. Thank you very much, Francesca. It has been a pleasure having you in this show. So, well, let's see us in the next one. Roger Alarcon.
Well, thank you very much to everyone who is watching today. It was a really good and fun program, so I love it. So thank you very much, and let's see you again next week.
Excellent, my dear Roger. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Remember, this show is every Tuesday from 8 to 9. Please share this video with all your friends. Just have to click there with this share in order that more people, they know what are we doing. And of course, the real Latin American world you can meet here. So, well, this is the Latin America show. Thank you very much, everyone. See us next week. And of course, it's like, have a good week, keep safe, and see you in 8 days. We have a fantastic country. We're going to talk about Colombia, and we're going to celebrate the Independence Day with them. Thank you very much. This is the Latin America Show.